fastest.
Caster Semenya, this is Zolani Tete LAST Insta, the bantamweight whole world champion. I want to say,
former world boxing champion Zolani Tete last video, and after the heartbreaking news of his death at just 38, footage showing the South African champion in his final days is now being viewed through an entirely different lens, because what once looked like an ordinary moment in the life of a fighter has suddenly become part of his final chapter. Tete, known to boxing fans around the world as Last Born, was killed outside his home in Mdantsane, Eastern Cape, on August 21, 2026, after two masked assailants reportedly approached while he was in his vehicle waiting for the gate to open. A 27-year-old woman who was with him was also injured and remains hospitalized, while police have launched an investigation and the motive has not yet been established. That is why viewers searching for Zolani Tete's last video are not simply looking for old boxing footage anymore. They are looking for one final glimpse of a man whose life was built around fighting, perseverance, and the belief that there was always another chapter waiting ahead. And perhaps the most painful part is that Tete was reportedly preparing for exactly that. His 4-year suspension had expired in July 2026, and reports indicated that he was planning a return to the ring, meaning the former champion had reason to believe his professional journey was not finished. For a boxer who had already experienced the highest levels of the sport, a comeback would have been more than another fight. It would have been a statement that setbacks did not define him. Tete had already spent years proving that he could rebuild himself. He became a world champion in the WBF flyweight division, later captured the IBF junior bantamweight title, and then reached another major milestone when he became WBO bantamweight champion. His career also produced one of the most unforgettable moments in modern boxing history. In 2017, Tete faced Siboniso Gonya in Belfast, and the fight ended after only 11 seconds, giving Tete the Guinness World Record for the fastest knockout in a world title bout. When fans watch footage of Tete now, knowing what happened afterward, even ordinary images can feel strangely emotional. A boxer smiling after training, speaking about his ambitions, standing with people around him, or simply appearing confident before another chapter of his career can suddenly seem like a farewell that nobody knew they were witnessing. But it is important not to turn every old video into something it was never meant to be. There is no confirmed evidence that Tete knew he was living through his final days, and there is no verified statement suggesting that a particular video was intentionally recorded as a final message. What makes the footage powerful is not a hidden prediction. It is the contrast between what viewers knew then and what they know now. Before August 21st, Tete was a former champion preparing for life after his suspension. Now, those same images have become part of his legacy. His nickname, Last Born, became familiar throughout boxing, but behind the champion was also a man deeply connected to Mdantsane, a township that has produced some of South Africa's notable fighters. His story represented the possibility of rising from a local community and reaching the biggest stages in the sport. That is why his death has affected more than just boxing fans. Tributes have come from sports officials, boxing organizations, and people who knew him personally, with South Africa's sports minister Gayton McKenzie describing the loss as devastating and urging people not to speculate about the investigation. The unanswered questions surrounding his death make the final footage even more difficult to watch. Police are investigating what happened, and the motive remains unclear. Authorities are appealing for information as they work to establish the circumstances surrounding the attack. For now, the last video cannot tell us why Tete was targeted, and it cannot provide answers that investigators have not yet discovered. What it can do is remind fans of the person who existed beyond the headlines. Before the tragedy, there was the athlete. Before the athlete, there was the young man who found his way into boxing. And before the world titles and record-breaking performances, there was simply Zolani Tete, a fighter from Mdantsane who dreamed of reaching the top. His career was not perfect, and it included difficult moments, including a suspension that kept him away from professional competition for 4 years. But he was reportedly ready to return, And that detail now feels especially heartbreaking because his comeback opportunity had only just opened. His final professional appearance came in 2022 against Jason Cunningham, a victory that was later changed to a no contest following a positive test for a prohibited substance. Tete denied knowingly taking the substance, and after serving the suspension, he was finally free to resume his career in July 2026. Then, before another fight could be arranged, everything changed. That is why the final images of Zolani Tete are likely to remain meaningful to boxing fans. They do not show the end of a champion's life. They show the champion before the ending was known. They show a man whose future still seemed open, whose name was still connected to a possible comeback, and whose story appeared to have more pages left to write. The tragedy is that those pages will now be written by the people he inspired, the fans who remember his achievements, and the boxing community that refuses to let his legacy disappear. Tete may be gone, but the record he created, the titles he won, and the unforgettable 11-second performance that placed his name in boxing history remain. And perhaps that is the most powerful way to understand his last video. Not as a mysterious final message, not as proof that he somehow knew what was coming, but as one final reminder of Zolani, last born, Tete before the world had to say goodbye. His story ended far too soon, but the champion he became inside the ring will continue to be remembered long after the final footage fades from the screen.